Ace Comic-Con. Are you guys ready to meet the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man or what? Right? Come on. I cannot tell you how exciting it is to be here. I cannot tell you how exciting it is to look out and see all of you. And I know you're really excited to see who's coming out here. And let's bring them out. We have 3 guests. First, from the great state of Hawaii, let's welcome Jейкоб Баталон. Let's welcome Lora Хэрриер. That one. Hey, how's it going?
Good. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Lora Хэрриer. How are you?
Yay.
Good to see you. And ladies and gentlemen, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, Tom Holland.
Yeah. Yay. I'm gonna get that too. That was really crazy.
What's up, everyone?
Hey, wait, guys! Scream really loud right now. Woo! Hey!
That's gotta feel pretty good, right? That's gotta feel pretty good.
Guys, let's just start by saying thank you so much for coming.
We really appreciate you guys.
Thank you all.
We owe everything to you guys, so thank you. You guys are the best.
Well, it's fantastic to see you all, and congratulations on the great success. I mean, it's fantastic. The newest generation of Marvel stars are some of the favorite stars, and you can feel that. It's coming right at you right now. And what that must feel like is fantastic. You know, Tom, I want to start with you. You know, one of the great things about Peter Parker is his youth, and the fact that, you know, he's the last Marvel character that has a secret identity, like on the big screen. And he's the one that the fans feel like they could be. Like, I can't be Superman. I'm not from another planet. I can't be Wonder Woman. But I feel like if I get bit by the right bug, I could be you. That's pretty cool, right? Talk a little bit about that, and do you think that helps the connection with fans?
Well, funny story. We were once all hanging out at my pool in Atlanta, and Laura got bit by a spider.
This is true. Yeah. Really badly too. And Tom, well, what'd you say?
I was upset because I was like, listen, if you're gonna get superpowers, I'm gonna be really upset now.
No concern. My arm was the size of my leg. Tom's like, but if you get superpowers,
I'm pretty sure that spider had a bunch of spider babies too. Didn't
it did.
I had to go to the ER. I was in the hospital.
God, I'm so sorry.
I was so jealous.
So sincere.
Do you have a lot of spiders at your house?
Well, this was in Atlanta.
Oh, it was in Atlanta.
When we were
there's a lot of bugs in Atlanta.
In my house,
There's deadly
in England,
ones there. It was really
spiders aren't as big a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, which I'm happy about. I mean, I love being Spider-Man, but I hate spiders. And
wow, you might want to keep that quiet.
Well, now everyone knows. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the actual arachnids.
The arachnids,
Yeah.
exactly. You know, one of the things about Spider-Man is the way that he moves, and he moves differently than any other superhero. You know, I mean, it's unique to him. And, you know, with your background with Billy Elliot and the fantastic success that you had.
Thank you very much.
Well, and the training and the rigors of that and the physicality of it, that must have been a tremendous prep for you to play the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great prep. Thank you very much. It was a great prep. It was a great prep, but I think I pulled my hamstring every third day making this movie. But yeah, I mean, I've been so lucky. Doing ballet, doing gymnastics is such a great way to sort of have control of your body. And when I did my screen test for Spider-Man, they were like, so what can you do? And I basically just did as many backflips as I could. I remember I was doing my second screen test with yours truly, Chris Evans.
Oh, yeah. A great guy.
The best. And in the scene, it said Spider-Man flips into frame. So I said to the Russo brothers, I was like, guys, do you want me to flip into frame? And they were like, can you?
Seriously?
I'm like, watch this, guys, watch this. And they said, we can't legally ask you to flip, but you could do it if you want to. So I did it, and it was Chris's first line to start the scene off, and he was so shocked at what I did that he forgot the line. I'm like, Captain America, say the line.
That's a pretty good way to bounce into the Marvel Universe with backflips. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so that was a good, my backflips have come in handy over the last couple of years.
Yeah, and of all the characters, like I was saying, Peter Parker is the one that is the audience. I mean, none of us can be Tony Stark or Robert Downey Jr., who are the same person, essentially. But we feel like, you're the one that's, because you seem as amazed by what's going on as the audience does. And that gives you a very sympathetic role as an actor. That gives you, there's some challenges with that, but some opportunities, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Spider-Man is the character who people can relate to. Right. It's difficult to relate to Tony Stark because his problem is that his yellow Lamborghini didn't show up on time, whereas Peter's problem is that his yellow school bus didn't show up on time, So people can relate to that. And for me, I've been playing Spider-Man in my bedroom since I was 5. Right. And I see all you guys dressed up in Spider-Man costumes, representing, playing Spider-Man in your own way and bringing your own spin to it, which is great. So while I get to play Spider-Man on the big screen, you guys get to play Spider-Man in the world, and we all share Spider-Man. So it's that character that we can all share,
Yeah. And they are so happy to see you.
I love you guys.
One of the great things about Spider-Man as a young person is his friends. Young people measure themselves not so much by their family, but by their friends. And you have some pretty great friends on screen. Laura,
I have the best friends.
Jacob.
Oh, please.
No.
Please, keep cheering, please. That's amazing. I appreciate so.
For both of you, I mean, it must be fantastic. And both of you brought so much heart and humanity to the film, because it's easy to get lost in the big battle scenes. But when we know Peter best is when we see him with his friends. And both of you delivered fantastic performances, So congratulations on that.
Thank
Seriously.
you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I very, very much mean that. Tell me a little bit about, finding that character. And your character, obviously, there's a big plot twist. Everybody's seen the movie at this point, but it's fascinating, the idea of a girl who wants her boyfriend to meet her father, and boy, that's not going to go so well. Like, we've all been there. But that must have been a fun role, and that scene must have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a fun scene when we did that.
scene,
That was really fun. We were in this crazy house in Atlanta. It was just the most surreal thing, like hanging out with Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Being like, he's like, come here, sweetie. Like, I'm like, okay, Dad. It was super bizarre.
Mr. Beetlejuice Batman,
Yeah.
holy cow.
Like, okay, Batman's my dad. This is cool. But I don't know. I mean, I really enjoy playing Liz because I feel like we so rarely see these girls in high school who are cool and funny and like popular or whatever, but still like kind of nerdy and are nice and care about real things instead of just like, I don't know, makeup.
Yeah, she's not vapid.
Yeah,
She's very
she's
decent
smart and interesting.
centered,
So yeah, I was really honored to be able to like bring that to life.
Jacob, give us a moment that you loved during the shooting, like a moment that just could help us feel like we were there. Give us a snapshot memory, maybe.
Well, I think that, making the movie was probably the most amazing experience of my life, but I think that it's not really the shooting of the movie that I remember fondly. I do, obviously, but
Thanks, Jacob.
What stands out?
I think, well, we were able to visit children's hospitals and, see all these kids and do all these things. And I think that that's probably the most rewarding feeling I've ever felt. And being able to give people like joy like that is really like the greatest thing ever, I feel. And seeing kids get happy oh, thanks. I lost my train of thought, but it was definitely visiting children's hospitals and being able to bring joy to kids was probably the best thing.
Absolutely. In Spider-Man, created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko way back in '61, one of the keynote parts of the character. With great power comes great responsibility, and all three of you know very well the great power of influence and role modeling, and I imagine that comes to you in very different ways. Like some days it must feel like a golden magical thing, but some days it must feel like a overpowering responsibility too, you know, like, you see all the youngsters and they come to you and it's hard to have energy up all the time, I imagine, but it's probably a pretty good problem to have, right?
I think it is, but why we're so lucky is we have each other, you know, but then also we have these great models who are already in the MCU who we can follow, you know. Sure. We're just following the footsteps of RDJ and Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson. All these people who have been there from the beginning have done such great things, and we learn from them and try and copy what they did and put our own, I don't know, millennial spin on it.
Well, and you got to work with Chris Hemsworth also, and Ron Howard, the great Ron Howard, on In the Heart of the Sea, one of my favorite books, and I love the film. It's outstanding. Did you? And talking to Ron about that movie, I know that was an intense movie to film. I mean, the actual filming of that movie was crazy. That must have been a memorable experience for you.
Yeah. We were on a special diet when we were on that film, and we were only supposed to eat. We were only allowed to eat 500 calories a day because our characters were meant to look emaciated.
Famished, yeah.
And I remember losing weight and looking skinny, and I remember Chris Hemsworth doing the same. And the first 6 weeks of the diet, Chris just got ripped.
Yeah.
Like Chris took his shirt off, and we were like, "What the hell? That's not fair." But no, that was a really tough movie, and it was nice for me. When I was auditioning for Spider-Man, I sent Chris an email, like, "Hey mate, can you just let Marvel know that I'm amazing and this and that?"
Amazing, spectacular.
Yeah. He was like, "Yeah mate, no, I'll let them know you never know your lines and you're terrible at acting." I was like, "Thank you, Chris, appreciate it." But no, he sent a nice email to Kevin.
That's great. And working with great directors for actors, that's like the amazing thing. And I know that you have a film coming out. You've worked with Spike Lee. I mean, that's an extraordinary experience. Can you tell us a little bit about the film that you have coming out with Spike Lee?
Yeah, it's called Black Klansman, and it's a true story that takes place in the early 70s.
And Adam Driver is in that film.
Adam Driver is in it. Yeah, and I'm playing like a badass woman. Am I allowed to say that? But it's going to be really cool.
Well, working with Spike, what can you tell us about Spike? I mean, such
Spike
encyclopedic knowledge.
Genius, and has made some of the greatest movies of all time. And I was so lucky to be there and to learn from him, to work with him.
That's fantastic. And Jacob, you have a film coming up, an independent film in February, is that right?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I do. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's called Every Day. Angari Rice, who was actually in our film as well.
Yeah.
She's going to be a star of it. She's very talented. It's a very well-made film. It's based on the best-selling book. And I'll be honest, I didn't read the book, but I've heard it's amazing. So
we'll have time. It doesn't come out till February.
You do know you could keep that a secret, Jake.
Yeah.
Don't have to tell people that.
Oh no, I read the ending of the book is crazy. Oh my goodness.
Let me tell you, the last page. That's great. Well, and for the three of you, speaking of humor, because that was very funny, one of the things I love best of this ensemble is the humor and the timing. Did you find that it came naturally, or did it take a little work? Or when you saw it on the big screen, did it?
I feel like we weren't acting. Everyone just kind of was themselves.
Yeah? Well, that's good, right?
Yeah, we spent so much time with each other on and off camera. You know, before we started shooting, we went on a picnic and we played like card games and stuff, and we became really close before we even started shooting. So when we started shooting, we were already like this really tight-knit group of friends, and it was a lot of fun, you know, getting to know people and then improvising. John Watts, our amazing director, does such a great job at just letting us do what we want sometimes and just have fun with it. And I know Jacob and I have some ad-libs which will never be seen because they are so inappropriate.
I only pray that you guys never see that stuff. Terrible.
There's some funny stuff, and yeah, so it was just, thank you so much. I love you too.
Oh
Thank
my
you guys.
gosh, all the love. It's like, are we ever gonna say like a full sentence, or is it?
Not so much. It's okay. There's ... It's okay. It all goes well. But you were saying, I'm sorry.
What was I saying?
I have no idea.
Sorry.
We're talking about
Talking about comedy,
We're
and John just creates such a warm environment to be free and also make mistakes. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I do on set is shit, and there's one really good take, and he always uses that take. So I'm lucky that a director allows me to make those
Real
mistakes.
quick, did you just say, I'm not going to repeat it. Never mind.
You can't say shit.
Yeah, you can't. Oh.
I'm sure you can.
No, sure you can. You just did. I did.
I did just.
Oh, shit.
Sorry.
Oh, say it.
Oh, no. Okay, moving on. Next question. Excuse me. Pardon my language. I'm very sorry.
So one of the things that, getting back, Spider-Man, you're the first Marvel character in a Marvel Studios film that's been in other movies. I mean,
Yeah.
Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, they didn't have a screen history.
Yeah.
There were Spider-Mans before you. Did you look at those performances in those films and to kind of immerse yourself into that and try to do different? Or did you try to ignore it and just start from scratch? I mean, because it really could go either way.
Well, I mean, when I sat down with John very early on, it was clear that we had the billionaire, the soldier, the god. Now it's time for the kid. It was very clear that we wanted to make a very different movie, and that's why I think Kevin Feige has been so successful, because he's not afraid to make risks,
Right.
or take risks. He
knows the material.
He knows the material, and every single franchise is completely different while following a similar formula, And for me, I just wanted to make a character that we hadn't seen before, which meant making Peter Parker much younger and grounding him in high school. And I was lucky that I had Civil War. Civil War felt like my audition to the people. While I'd auditioned in front of Marvel, I wanted to do a good job, and I was so grateful that everyone had such a positive response for Civil War that I knew that for Spider-Man Homecoming, all I had to do was what I did on Civil War, but for 90 days rather than 3 days.
Sure. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And this Peter Parker did feel younger than any Peter Parker we had seen. Also, in the Spider-Man, the original screen incarnation with Tobey Maguire, that Spider-Man, his webs came out of his body.
Yeah.
And I know, talking to Kevin for years, he said he really wanted to get back to Peter Parker being a science genius who could come up with this formula and do that in a way that was meaningful. Talk a little bit about that, and the science fair and the interaction with the friends, that they are science kids. They're not kids that just are in high school. I mean, they.
Well, I definitely don't think we're that smart in real life.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Like characters.
We're really good actors.
Yeah. I'm really good at saying one particular word. I'm not going to say the word, but.
Yeah, I remember doing a scene where I was fiddling with my web shooters, and John was like, some of the dialogue was something to do with tech stuff, and he was like, just make something up. And I was like, you cast the wrong guy. If you want me to make up tech stuff, that's not my bag.
And what advice did you get as far as maybe things to avoid or do as far as the character, like your North Star going in? I mean, Peter, he can't be too confident, right? I mean, he has to doubt himself, but at the same time, he has to follow these impulses to be a hero. I mean, that's kind of a tricky thing to do, because you don't want to seem too weak on screen.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I get that. Thank you, firstly. No, I mean, there's two very distinct characters. There's Peter Parker, and then there's Spider-Man. And from reading the comics, they're very different while sharing a similar personality. So for me, it was about coming up with two very distinct characters that share this unique sort of happy-go-lucky kid lifestyle that they have, and that just came from reading the comics. I really did the homework, and admittedly, I'd never really read comics before I got the job, and then I fell in love with them, and I wished I'd been reading them since I was a kid. And it's funny, on the press tour, I thought I read all the Spider-Man comics.
No, good luck.
And everyone's like, did you read this one? I was like, yeah, I think so.
It started in '61. I mean, there's a lot of comics.
There's a lot. And I was so cocky about it. I was like, yeah, I've read all of the comics. I did all the research. And people were like, no, you didn't. You're lying. So I'm slowly getting there.
Well, for each of you, Jacob, we'll start with you. Tell me a movie that you loved growing up, like a summer movie that it feels like you're kind of in the tradition of, like we all love films. You guys wouldn't be actors if you didn't love films.
Yeah. It's funny because I actually really liked Not Another Teen Movie.
Oh,
yeah. Chris Evans in that was just ridiculously funny for some
So
reason.
funny.
He's so
Like,
funny.
Love him. He's so
Scott Pilgrim. He was so funny in Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, he's
Yeah, and what's so funny is that
Action.
it was
love
such
that
a
movie.
it was such a 2000s feeling movie. Like it was so in the time, and I mean that didn't want to make me become an actor per se, but I definitely want to be cool like that. So
I
yeah.
think you're there. I think you got it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I think you got
Oh, thanks, guys.
I'm gonna get a
Oh.
water. Do you want a water? Yeah, do you want a water?
You're not gonna walk off stage right now.
I'm gonna get a water. I'll be back. I'm really parched. I'll be back.
it. Laura, is there a movie that you really loved? Like a summer movie that, when you think of like the things that Marvel films do, a movie that kind of connects with you?
I don't know if this is a Marvel film.
Not a Marvel. Any movie. Not a Marvel movie, just
Thank
any
you.
movie.
We can share.
Any movie. I'm good.
I mean, I loved Mean Girls.
Mean Girls.
Like high school. But and I also loved that our movie wasn't Mean Girls and Liz wasn't Regina George. But yeah, that was a big one for my childhood.
I love Mean Girls.
I have to say, by the way, Mean Girls is great. And how nice is this guy? He goes, we can share one. Thank you so much. What a nice man. No, I'm good.
only had three.
But that's like the nicest thing. Like here, would you like to share it? He's a good guy.
Thanks, guys.
Serious, that's really sweet. So Tom, for you, like maybe a summer movie, a fun action movie that now you feel like, hey, I'm getting to do that kind of thing. Is there a movie that resonated with you or something like that?
Oh God, so many, so many. I mean, Spider-Man is so unique in the way that he moves, and there's no one else. There's nothing else really like it. But what I love about John is that. Damn!
I just noticed that.
Oh my God! Wow. What do you know? Oh my goodness.
Who knew?
What I had no idea.
That's so distracting now. I just want to watch the screen.
I'm actually
made me really
nervous.
Well,
Oh
the
my
crazy
God.
thing is these lights.
Yeah.
Like, what are these lights right here?
Like,
Like,
These are
blinding.
crazy.
Are there a lot of people back there? We can't even see you guys.
Oh
my God! Yeah! Woo! Hi!
Hey!
That's amazing.
Hey! Yeah! Oh my God, you're all so beautiful. Oh my goodness. Oh, beautiful, beautiful people.
isn't this fun?
This is
Yeah.
So
yeah,
fun.
like I feel like
so get
I'm not
used
gonna lie. For the most part, everyone's just kind of cheering and we're just saying a bunch of words.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
It's like being Bono. It's like being Bono. It's fantastic.
But yeah, action movies. I mean, the old James Bond movies, the Mission Impossible movies, all of those things. I love. I love action movies, and for me, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Back to the Future. Those are my movies.
That's the
and
best.
That's what we wanted to do. And
John Hughes.
Yeah, John Hughes, and that's what John Watts did so well. And I'm really glad that we were able to do that.
No, that's very well said. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he really does have a lot of John Hughes in him. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like Breakfast Club with superpowers.
Well, that's why the poster is
yes.
the Breakfast Club. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And then, just point, everybody goes crazy. Watch. It's great. And as far as the cast, I mean, the Marvel Universe is so full of so many great actors. You mentioned Chris Evans, we mentioned Chris Hemsworth, Robert Downey Jr., obviously. Is there a moment that the three of you have had with any of those folks? You mentioned Michael Keaton, who's, kind of new to it, but that you would share, like, I mean, there must be some fun encounters,
Oh, there's
right?
so many.
All right.
Something that's
Our first
PG-13?
Comic-Con was so crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It was
one?
every movie star in the world, and we were so the kids who had never done this at all.
Say that again?
Our first Comic-Con in San
yeah.
Diego was pretty
that was
terrifying.
crazy.
Yeah.
There was like 4 dinner tables, and you had the Black Panther table, the Thor table, the Guardians table, and then the Spider-Man table. And they were like, "Can you guys quieten down a bit? We're all having too much
It's
fun."
like Thanksgiving, the kids'
Yeah,
table.
we were like, "Yeah!"
What was so crazy is that like at one point, literally, Benedict Cumberbatch and Lupita Nyong'o were talking to each other as if they were like normal people, like as if they had no idea who they were. Like it was crazy. Like
Then Rachel McAdams told you have beautiful skin.
Oh,
He died.
I remember that.
Felt it.
that was the most amazing moment of my life. I will say
Yeah.
that right now.
This has nothing to do with anything, but how great does that Black Panther movie look?
Oh,
Oh,
I mean, like, isn't that exciting?
So good.
And also the soundtrack. I mean, the soundtrack. I mean, Kendrick Lamar, like.
Oh, that's been released?
Yeah,
Kendrick.
yeah.
They know that. Oh,
Yeah.
that was.
They're taking it up a notch.
I knew that ages ago, and I've been trying so hard to keep that a secret. I'm so glad you guys know.
Is that exciting?
Oh, amazing. The movie looks amazing. I've been working with Chadwick over the last year now, and he's the nicest guy. He's so humble, and I'm very jealous of his costume.
Yeah.
He walks on set in the suit, and he's so cool, so cool.
He's badass.
Thank you.
I thought he was going to leave again. I'm like, where's he going now? He's just walking off. And then, as far, well, it'd be great. What if you had your dream of a soundtrack for a Spider-Man film? What kind of music would you love to see Spider-Man swinging around to? That's kind of fun to think about.
Someone said Umbrella.
I loved doing lip sync battle, but I regret it so much. But what about Zendaya though for lip sync battle? I mean,
Man, she killed that.
And now you also have another movie coming out with Doug Liman, right?
I do, yes, I do.
Doug Liman,
Chaos Walking.
fantastic director.
Yeah, and the interesting thing for me with Chaos Walking is that I always play I always play the nice guy, like the sort of happy-go-lucky innocent kid, and in Chaos Walking I am the complete opposite.
Really?
And I'm the scary, tough, hard kid from a really scary place. And we have the wonderful Daisy Ridley playing viola. And it's different, it's unique. I've never seen a movie like it. Doug Liman is absolutely incredible and out of this world, and I loved making it, and it's going to be something different for me. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and I think it comes out in May next year.
Okay.
And but hope maybe after, we should maybe change that date, because Avengers comes out in May, right? No, maybe.
Well, one of the things about him is like his films, it's so much about the editing and the music and the way it looks on the screen. Is he great with acting too, like on the set? Like
He's brilliant. The thing I love about Doug is we'll come on set and we'll read the scene and he'll go, no, I'm not doing that. Let's rewrite it. So you spend 2 hours of the morning rewriting a scene, and then
like it's the first time he's ever seen the script? Or
like, yeah, you've never seen it before. I'm reading the lines like, okay, so then I do this, and then I punch him in the face, and okay. And then we completely change it, and then we film it, and then the next day we reshoot it, and it was such a unique way of making a film. And for me, like really fun, because I love collaborating and working with Doug as someone who is so good at taking on ideas. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I get to fight, like really nasty fights.
Really?
It's fun, yeah.
Can you tell us a little more about it, or not so much? Like your character, like what the character
I play
is?
a character called Todd Hewitt, who... Has anyone read the book? Yeah!
I love that name.
Did you say have I? I have actually read the book. I play a character called Todd Hewitt who grows up on a planet where there are only men and there's no such thing as privacy because they have this aura around them where they can see each other's thoughts, and Todd finds a girl, Viola, in the forest, and they go on the run together to find a better place, and it's a very unique story and something that we definitely haven't seen before.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah.
And what's the planet look like? Is it like a Avatar or like a apocalyptic kind of planet, or you can't?
Well, I mean, we shot in Montreal, so right now it looks
Green
like
screen.
Montreal.
Yeah, Montreal.
But
Green screen.
I'm sure they'll do something to it to make it look otherworldly.
I've been to Montreal. It feels like another planet.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty amazing. I mean, we had some days where we was in blazing heat, other days where it was snowing, and I was wearing a vest for the whole first part of the movie, and as we were filming, it was getting colder and colder and colder. So we had to write a scene where my character finds a jacket. Because I was like, Doug, dude, I'm so cold, man. Please,
Can we find a jacket?
give me a coat or something? So eventually my character, Todd, just finds a jacket on the floor. And
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned a picnic earlier that you all had. Tell us a little more about that. Like, where was that? Like, when was that?
my favorite was Laura.
Goodness.
We were like in a supermarket looking for food, and Laura was like, hey guys, should we get some cheese? Cheese. And we were like, yeah, sure.
sounds
like,
good.
Cheddar or something.
I
She's
think
more
I made
sophisticated than
Yeah, it
we
was a
are.
lot more like.
I just picked out way too much stuff. We had so much cheese for 4 people, 5 people.
Oh, geez.
No, I'm not going to try. It's going to be really embarrassing.
Was that the first day?
Yeah, that was
day
literally
one,
the
yeah.
first day we had to spend with each
Was that
other.
in Southern California, or where was that?
No, we were in
No, we were in
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta.
Yeah. Piedmont.
Yeah.
So the spider bite was pretty early on too. The pool spider bite, or was that later?
No,
No, that was like halfway. No?
this was like halfway through because it was the day before. We have the scene in the hallway where I'm in my swimsuit and we have the little thing, and my arm was big and I had to be in a swimsuit the next day. So
That's
that was
fantastic.
cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
And so the picnic went. I mean, where was it?
It went really smoothly. It was just in a park. We sat down and had a picnic.
And then we also went to Waffle House.
Yeah, we went to Waffle
Which is
House.
Big in Georgia. A lot of
Yeah.
Waffle
That-
Houses
My
everywhere.
first time to Waffle House,
Yeah.
and it was great. I was very nervous actually before that picnic because, you know, it's a big thing for me. Playing this character is a dream come true, and meeting the people I'm going to share this experience with. I
Yeah,
was
definitely.
just nervous to meet them. It was felt like my first day at school, but I was just so lucky that John did such a good job of putting people
Yeah.
together who were going to get along. And from the first moment we hung out, it was apparent that this was going to be a really fun one.
Honestly, it was so fun. I never admitted this to you guys, but I was really nerve-wracked, like, meeting you guys, because you guys had done so many things, and I had done literally nothing. Like, and, you know, you guys were just so, like, accomplished, and I was just like, God, I really, oh, thanks, you guys. Oh, thank you. But, yeah, no, I really do not remember what I was saying, though.
I was
Saying that you were
terrified. I was
nervous.
so nervous.
It was really, because it was
Yeah.
crazy for me, honestly. Especially like especially that one day when we were all just reading the script in that room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like that was
the
like
day we met,
the
yeah.
weird. Like Harrison came in. Harrison, yeah.
Yeah, let's have a Harrison cheer.
There you go, yeah. Showing Harrison some love. But he came in and he offered us like some donuts and stuff. And he was like, when we first met him, I was just like, whoa, this is like this really cool English, like assistant of Tom's, you know? And like he walked out of the room and he kind of tripped a little.
Yeah.
And
I forgot about
it was so awkward. Oh my
I remember.
goodness.
Did we laugh or we were trying to be polite?
I definitely
still?
tried not to laugh.
No, he remembers it. He's very embarrassed.
I think
by
none
it.
of us addressed it. 'cause
We
were,
talk
like,
about
being
it a
nice
lot.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the beginning.
Oh my goodness.
I remember these guys had just got to the studio and they were in this office where they were reading the script. And sometimes we're not allowed to take the scripts home because of secrets. We all know how terrible I am at keeping secrets. So I remember seeing Jacob reading the script like this. So I can see him. He'd read a page and then go,
All right, let's not embarrass me in front of all these people.
no, it's
Goodness
right. And then he
gracious.
turned the page. Oh.
And it's so funny because I really was laughing at the funny parts. Yeah. And I feel really ashamed. God, darn it.
You know, so movies aren't filmed obviously in the order they're made.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first day of shooting? What scene were you guys doing? And what was the last day of
I
shooting?
remember clearly. I don't know if Tom remembers, but I
Wait,
do.
the first
What was the first day? Do you remember?
We were
Oh,
in
I remember.
school.
You go.
No, I'm trying to remember what it was.
It was a
What was
school
the first
thing. We
scene?
were in a classroom, and it was when you were making the web fluid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Day one.
And I remember in that scene, I kept calling you Tom.
Yeah.
Professional.
It's better than Spider-Man, I guess.
Yeah, it was really bad. I thought I was gonna get fired. Luckily, they didn't use any of that audio.
So that was the first day, and then I'm sure by the end, well, you started to say, did you have a? Oh, by the end, the last scene. What do you remember the last day when you guys wrapped?
Yeah,
What,
I remember
what
the last day was
In New
you and
York,
I
yeah.
when we're getting out of the Vulture's car to go to the dance, and it was a very special moment for me because unfortunately Michael couldn't be there because of some scheduling thing, and George Cottle, our amazing stunt coordinator, had to fill in for Michael, and we used to take the mick out of George because he is a very well-known stunt car driver, and he had to drive this Jaguar very gingerly, so it wasn't the most heroic moment for him, but it was amazing.
And it must have been very emotional for you guys when you were all done. I
I'm
mean,
not gonna lie,
Yeah.
I did cry. Just a little.
yeah?
Yeah, I'm not
you
gonna
hit it
lie, I
though.
was a really big baby. What,
Yeah, I cried at the end, and then you made fun of me, and then we just laughed. That's all that.
No, I cried. My wonderful hair and makeup artists, Heather and Jerry, were like my mums when I was making this movie. You know, I'm in the makeup chair at 5 o'clock in the morning. I leave at 9 o'clock at night. I spent all day with them, and they looked after me every step of the way. So when we finished, you know when you have a cry where you just like, but you just can't stop shaking. And I remember hugging Heather and Jerry, and I see them all the time, but it was really sad for me when we finished.
Yeah, we were at that hotel in the lobby, and I remember that happening in front of me.
Yeah.
And that made me want to cry my eyes out too, but I was just like, you know what? I'm trying to be strong right now.
Yeah.
And then I think what people don't realize too is when you're doing a movie that has as many special effects and as many scenes, as many moving parts, you're doing the script and you're there and stuff, but when you see it as a finished product, it's so different than what you expect. It's so, you don't know what's going to be in it, like really by the end.
Yeah.
Sometimes you kind of feel like a butt acting in front of like a green screen, because it's like you try to be like super like into this thing, and you're like literally like, oh my God, the building's falling, and then you're just like standing in front of a wall. And,
look at that tennis ball.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. A dragon. Fire breathing. And it's like a fan blowing in your face.
I remember for Avengers, the Russo brothers are like, so you're just standing here and you're fighting this guy, and just do whatever. I'm like, okay, who am I fighting? Like, well, we can't tell you because it's a secret. I'm like, okay, so what does he look like? And like, well, we can't tell you because that will give it away. I'm like, okay, so how big is he? And they're like, well, we can't tell you because that would give it away. So I'm just standing there punching the air for 15 minutes. And when I took the job, I didn't think that's what I would be doing. But I've got used to it now.
But when you see the final product, that must have been, for all of you, especially with Homecoming, must have been like a really wonderful thing because it's such a sweet and thoughtful and complete and satisfying film, and that for all three of you is a testament to but it must have been a huge relief.
It's a real labor of love, isn't it?
Seeing the first trailer really just blew me away.
Yeah.
Like it was probably the most satisfying thing.
Love you too, thank you. When did you first see it? Where were you when you
We were together.
Yeah,
you saw it together?
Yeah, we saw it in New York. Yeah.
Which was so much better seeing it together.
Yeah. I
Like,
totally
so much
felt
less
a lot
scared.
less nervous.
Yeah.
I think I was like,
Yeah, no, it was crazy.
Yeah, I first saw it and none of the effects had been done, and there was no like CGI. And the thing that I was so amazed by was how much I enjoyed the film without the effects.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew John had done such a great job of balancing this sort of indie John Hughes movie with this epic Spider-Man movie. It was such a great contrast, but was so what's the word?
Big and small.
Big and small at the same time.
Yeah.
And for me, watching it without CGI was pretty special, and then obviously watching it with CGI blew me away.
Yeah, and you know what's even more special? Being here today and seeing all these fans, right?
Really amazing.
Jacob, Laura, it's so nice to see you all. Tom, it's so great to see you.
Thank you very much.
There's so much love for you in this room. I hope you had as much fun as we did. Ace Comic-Con, can we have a big thank you and a goodbye? Spider-Man cast.
Guys, thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Could we take a quick picture?
I'll take a picture of all three of you in the background. You want to stand there?
Yeah.
Here you go.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm also going to take it, and I'll take it as well.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Hey.
Stay there, stay
Thanks, bud.
Sorry.
Hey.
Thank you, guys. See you guys. Thanks so much. See you guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Very nice to meet you.
Hey, appreciate it, man.
Cheers,
Thanks so
man.
much. Thank you, guys.